Okay, picture this. It's 2019. You're at a barbecue enjoying a few beers with your old friend. You've known each other for years. You've both done the whole get a job, work hard, save for the future thing. You're both in your 40s and you both have families. Both of you are doing well enough to make ends meet. But then your friend tells you he's going to do something that you never saw coming. He's going to invest in Bitcoin. If you're like many people, your initial reaction might have been something along the lines of, Bitcoin? That's risky and volatile, and I heard it has no intrinsic value. But what if I told you that by 2029, your friend's crazy decision could make him richer than you, even though you've been the one doing everything the way that you're supposed to? Well, this is the story of the two friends, two totally different investment strategies, and how one of them changed the game entirely. Let me introduce you to Fiat Fred and Bitcoin Bill. Fred's a 45-year-old accountant. He makes $150,000 a year. He's been putting in the work at his job for years and keeping his finances tight. He takes home $9,440. Bill, on the other hand, is a plumber. He earns a fairly modest $75,000 a year, and his take-home pay is $6,250 a month. They both have their own homes with about 10 more years to pay on their mortgages. Fred has a bigger house and he drives a nice new shiny BMW. He can afford luxuries that Bill cannot. Bill drives an old second-hand work truck. He can't afford the payments on a new car. Fred knows that his retirement is going to be more comfortable than Bill's, since Bill doesn't have very much money left at the end of every month. So in 2019, Fred and Bill had the same realization. They needed to save more for their retirement. Neither of them thought their pensions would be enough to maintain their current lifestyles. So they came up with a plan. They can both afford to save 10% of their monthly take-home pay for the next 10 years. So by 2029, they should have their homes paid off and a solid nest egg for their retirement. Who knows, maybe they will be able to afford to retire a bit earlier. Fred can save $944 a month, while Bill can save only $625 a month. They both think it's the responsible thing to do, but here's where things start to get interesting. One afternoon, Bill drops a bombshell. While they're flipping burgers, Bill tells Fred he's decided to start investing his savings in Bitcoin. Fred almost chokes on his light beer. He can't believe it. Bitcoin? Are you serious, Bill? That's a huge risk. It has no real value and it's way too volatile. You're better off putting your money in something safe, like an index fund or bonds. Reinvest the dividends, and with the compounding returns, your money will grow steadily. Bitcoin doesn't even produce any income. There is nothing to reinvest. Fred's an accountant, after all. He's got the education, the knowledge, and the well-paid job. He's been in the finance world for years. He knows the ins and outs of traditional investing. So of course, he tells Bill to stick with what he knows: index funds, bonds, and things that are stable and reliable. He watches channels on YouTube run by creators who have made loads of wealth putting their money into index funds. He knows that it's the way to go. But Bill doesn't have the fancy degrees or the financial qualifications. He's a plumber. But he's been hearing all the buzz about Bitcoin. He started learning about it in his free time, and he believes it could really grow in value in the coming years. He doesn't have a lot of money to invest each month, and he realizes that he needs to make the most of it. So Bill decides to take the leap. He invests $625 every month into Bitcoin, despite Fred's warnings. Fred, on the other hand, sticks with his plan. He invests $566 into an S&P 500 index fund and $378 into bonds, yielding 4% a year. He reinvests the dividends. It feels safe and predictable. This is what you're supposed to do. Nothing too risky, nothing too crazy. He's confident his strategy is the right one. So let's fast forward a couple of years. The market has taken a big downturn in 2022. Bitcoin crashes by more than 60%. Fred's feeling pretty good about his safe investments. His stocks are down a bit, but he hedged with the bond investment. But Bill is 100% in Bitcoin. He has no hedge against volatility. His investments are looking dire. Fred tells Bill that he saw a news item on CNN about how Bitcoin could crash to zero and that it's probably all over. The bubble has already burst. He suggests that Bill needs to cut his losses with Bitcoin and invest into stocks and bonds. After all, he still has another 7 years in his plan to see good returns from much less volatile investments. But Bill doesn't panic. He knows what he signed up for. He's been studying Bitcoin for 3 years now. He's not going to bail out just because the market's down. And plus, he doesn't want to realize any losses. He sticks to his plan and continues to stubbornly invest $625 a month into Bitcoin, even though some days it feels like the world is caving in. Now fast forward to 2025. Fred's feeling good. He's been steadily investing into his safe assets, watching his portfolio grow predictably. But then he does the math. He sees that even though he's investing more than Bill's nest egg is already worth more than his. Fred starts to wonder, how is that possible? Didn't Bitcoin already crash? Did he get it wrong? Bill, despite saving less, has made far bigger gains. And Fred starts to realize that while he's been playing it safe, Bill's been investing into something much bigger. But surely, Bill has just got lucky. He cannot maintain those kinds of gains forever. Sooner or later, his investment will come crashing down. Anyway, Fred just watched a documentary about Bitcoin mining and how it contributes to climate change. He also read a column in the Financial Times about how Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. Plus, his favorite YouTube pundit, Greg's Economics, said that Bitcoin is just a scam and it's going to zero soon. And Greg, he used to be a super successful banker. He knows what he's talking about. So Fred stays the course and he sticks to his safe investment strategy. Anyway, he doesn't want to be responsible for climate change. The summer is already hot enough. Now let's fast forward to 2029. Fred is excited. His investments have grown. His index fund and bonds have yielded a solid 68% return over 10 years, bringing his nest egg up to $212,000. It's nothing to sneeze at. But then, when he walks into Bill's house for another barbecue and excitedly tells him about his great investment returns, well, he's in for the shock of his life. Bill shows Fred his Bitcoin wallet, which is now worth $620,000, even though Bill invested substantially less than Fred did. Bill has seen more than 800% return on his initial investment. He has outperformed Fred by a big margin. Fred does a quick bit of math and he realizes if he'd also bought Bitcoin instead of index funds and bonds, he'd now be holding just under $1 million worth of Bitcoin. He would have been able to retire at 55. Fred is just floored by all this. He earns twice as much as Bill, and he spent 5 years studying for degrees in finance and accounting. And yet, Bill is now wealthier than he is. The guy who took the risky path now has 3 times as much as Fred, and Fred can't help but feel like he's missed something. How did Bill get so lucky? This is where Fred and Bill's paths diverge. Now aged 55 and hoping to retire from his manual labor job, Bill is holding the superior asset. Even if he stops investing in Bitcoin altogether and just holds without selling for another 5 years, his investment will continue to grow substantially. Meanwhile, in order to get anything close to Bill's returns, Fred would have to continue actively investing a larger amount every single month for years to come. He can't afford to retire early if he hopes to maintain his current lifestyle. So what's the lesson here? It's not about playing it safe all the time. It's about understanding what you're investing in and being willing to take calculated risks. Bill believed in Bitcoin's potential even when it was down. He didn't panic. He stayed the course. Fred, on the other hand, stuck to the safe route. But sometimes safest doesn't always mean the best. Sometimes risk, the right kind of calculated risk, can pay off big time. If Fred had allocated just 20% of his savings to Bitcoin, he could have doubled his overall returns. Now, I'm not saying you should run out and throw all of your money into Bitcoin, but the days of the 60-40 stock and bond portfolio allocation are well and truly over. The good news is, if you do exactly what Bill did, that is, just a small regular allocation to Bitcoin every month, you can benefit from a huge potential upside. Then there is no need to try and time the market either. You invest when it's up, and you also invest when it's down. You can build wealth with Bitcoin as long as you are consistent and you're willing to hold for 5 or more years. The odds are in your favor that you will emerge a winner. At this point in time, if you're staring down retirement in the next 10 to 20 years, you still have plenty of time to start building your Bitcoin stash. So, are you playing it safe, or are you ready to make your move? Thanks for watching. See you next time.